quick note around development speed. One of the key things for us as an ecosystem is to keep moving quickly and iterating quickly. We still have a long way to go as a network and ecosystem. We've come a long way so far as well, and we need to keep our velocity up. So a couple of orgs that we talked about a bit during FDS 5, which were examples of high velocity orgs that we wanted to continue emulating. There's Solana. Solana in particular has become known as a fast place for devs to operate. High transaction speeds, low barrier to entries, low cost participation, which has really attracted a scaling developer community and helped them get started very quickly. Key things for us to continue doing as the Filecoin ecosystem as well. AWS, especially known for kind of customer obsession, making sure that you work backward from the impact that each feature, each thing we spend time on is going to deliver to customers, structured as these small, nimble, two-pizza teams. And I think we've really set ourselves up in that way as a Filecoin ecosystem as well, with kind of focused product teams, whether those are on-ramps or focused on a specific core protocol building block, setting ourselves up as kind of much more nimbly executing startup-minded teams. Creating a culture of urgency and experimentation is a key thing that folks try to maintain, even though, AWS is now, I don't even know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people working in this domain. But that's something I think is a key building block to have. Making sure that we build minimum lovable products that actually can go to market fast with customers, that we are data-driven around making sure that we are achieving customer needs, and then having single-threaded leaders or teams that are really focused on one thing at a time, which I think is a great lesson to learn. Last but not least, we talked a bit about Palantir, where they'd used forward deployed engineers to iterate and embed closely with customers to make sure we're learning from their needs and building the right product. They experiment directly with live products, having this like very rapid cycle between, building a thing, demoing it live in practice, actually putting it to play. Very technical sales team. Their forward deployed engineers are often their sales humans, very deeply knowledgeable about the technology. And then making sure that we prioritize features that can compound value over time, and can kind of, keep delivering more and more. So some of the reasons why we need to make sure we're prioritizing this as an ecosystem, we still have a long way to go. Filecoin is not trying to compete with the other decentralized ecosystems out there or other blockchains. Like, we have our sights set on the big Web2 cloud hyperscalers, which have, hundreds of services and hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. So we have a long way to go to be, operating on that same level of scale. And, we might be at the very front of the pack when it comes to Web3, but we would still be have a long way to go to take over from those Web2 companies. A key component that we can harness is decoupling some of our responsibilities, dividing things up between what's an L1 tech stack capability versus where are L2s and on-ramps going to really be focusing on those areas so that we can divide ourselves into these, smaller agile teams. All of us together need to make sure we have startup velocity and customer obsession, that we can sell minimum lovable products as on-ramps, and that we can iterate really relentlessly against customer adoption with the metrics on that adoption as well. I think a big nudge for FWS is making sure that we attract amazing service builders is going to require having amazing DX and being able to be the fastest place for them to build and deploy. Some lessons to learn from Solana there as well. And also kind of this compounding iteration compounds. So having growth rates that magnify exponentially can be a place where, invest there first, because getting it done earlier then has a lot more time to compound. And last but not least, I think we saw in a lot of these demos much more dogfooding of building the interface, getting an MVP storefront out there, not just doing an ivory tower launch, but actually diving into deploying solutions in the wild and seeing how users want to interface with them. I wanted to highlight a couple of experiments that happened in the last quarter-ish, which help us as core devs iterate faster within the Filecoin ecosystem. One notable example was pioneered by the F3 team, where they used an FVM smart contract to actually activate and choose the manifest parameters identified and kind of selected through passive testing, which allowed us to avoid an additional overhead of a network upgrade and solidify those parameters after making sure that they were performing well in the wild and any additional kind of tuning that was needed to select those. And this was done pretty thoughtfully. Like there was a window of time for the entire community to review those parameters and alert on any issues. There was a multi-sig with multiple different stakeholders to sign off on activating those parameters. And it helped us actually, iterate faster and avoid additional overhead as an ecosystem. And so I think that's a good thing to draw from as a tool in our toolbox around faster iteration from core devs. A thing pioneered by FIP 100 was kind of a structuring around a spicy FIP process, starting with a discussion issue, putting out design goals before we were proposing a particular candidate and had even identified what a candidate might be. Like, what are we trying to achieve? Let's get alignment on that first as an ecosystem. Kind of through the last call process, having multiple AMAs, calls across the ecosystem, and doing active iteration, even kind of within that time process to be able to come to a compromise solution that we could all move forward together on as an ecosystem. And then kind of creating this additional 3 to 6 month monitoring review period, especially for things that are hard to model a priori, getting the data on how are they actually going to perform in the real world. Pioneered by FWS that we've been seeing all these awesome demos on today. All of this is harnessing FVM user space smart contracts. It's awesome to, this is the first example of taking a core built-in actor, F05, the Filecoin market, and starting to migrate that functionality and usage into user space contracts where we can be deploying a new one and iterating, on an hour-by-hour basis. And so, great highlight of that was fixing a critical bug within a day without needing to get the entire network to upgrade in order to fix that critical issue. And it really accelerated the dev process around this as well, to not be risking the core internals of the network in order to bring new features to market. Last but not least, a new initiative that the Filecoin Incentive Design Lab and Crypto Econ Lab have been working on is this kind of experimental allocator pathway. It's a new trial of, hey, how might we iterate more quickly on incentives, especially some of these incentives around on-chain paid deals, which is kind of a key kind of evolution for the Filecoin ecosystem to be allocating our rewards where adoption and demand are coming from. They decided, what's the fastest way we can use our existing process to bring that to market, and created this new programmable data cap allocator that has kind of a competition and auction for who's going to get data cap based on on-chain deal payments. And so it's creating this incentives, it's trialing it out, and starting to see, great, if we create real mainnet rewards around this, what will it look like, but in a way that's not locking us into one specific solution for the future. So these are the kind of takeaways that I kind of want us as a group of builders and core devs to harness. One, design for faster iteration from a culture update perspective, dog food more, ship faster, and then iterate faster if and when that's needed. Use these trials to actually monitor, is this thing having the success that I wanted, and use that to unblock some of our, the inevitable soft consensus bottlenecks. Be like, look, we don't have enough data yet. We're going to try this. We're going to see how it works. We're going to iterate. We don't try and have the perfect solution on day 0. We have a good enough first pass, and then we can iterate over time. And let's use FVM smart contract space for being able to deploy and iterate on these things faster without having mainnet consensus slowdowns for bringing those to market. So next steps, would love to chat with people about this in person in Toronto. Juan's gonna be running a workshop on, what is that target? Let's break down our roadmap towards scaling ourselves as an ecosystem and network to reach the scale of AWS over time. Here's the QR code if you aren't already signed up for our in-person sessions. It's going to be great.